Hey guys, how you doing today? This is the $100 Million Podcast. We're joined today with Steven, CEO of CyberOne Mobile. We're super excited to hear lots of golden business nuggets from him, hear his story, and what his future plans are for his business adventures. So, Steven, pleasure to meet you. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, John. It was a pleasure meeting you and talking to you about this and to your audience.
Yeah. Well, we're super excited. Usually we like to start here kind of from the beginning. What were you doing in high school, and kind of what was your first jobs in back then?
Actually, my first job, believe it or not, when I started my entrepreneur experience life when I was about 11 years old. I used to live in New York in Queens, and my neighbor comes up to me and says, "Hey, boy, come over here and mow my lawn." And I start mowing his lawn, and he started renting me his lawnmower at $10 for the day, and I basically lawn mowed my whole entire block. And I started my entrepreneur experience that way. And I basically continued that along the way, even toward high school. In high school, I started working on, like pizzerias, bagel stores, and all that stuff. And then from there, moved on to promoting nightclubs and being in restaurants, and eventually got my degree in international finance. So the reason why I bring that up because when I was in college, I started buying and selling currencies. Back then, before the internet, you could actually go down to Wall Street if you have an account. You could buy and sell currencies and do triangular arbitrage. And that's exactly what I did to put myself through college and have my own expenses.
Wow, tell me more about that. Buying and selling currencies, what exactly? Like Forex?
Yeah, it's basically Forex. Back then, if you needed a location, a broker dealer to take your trade. So our professor was my capital markets class, Professor Leon, and went up to him and I say, Professor, we were learning about triangular arbitrage. And I said, Professor, can we do this in the real world? He said, basically, yeah. So he had contacts at Bank of Swiss down in Wall Street, and we opened up an account, and we will go there every Friday. So the big board, Chicago board, opens at 7:30, which is 8:30 in New York, right? So we'll get there like around 7:45, 8 o'clock. We'll have the Wall Street Journal basically open, and we'll have calculators, and we'll start telling each other currencies: buy this currency, sell it to that, sell it to that, and bring it back to the dollar. We were days where we were making 1,700, $1,500 in a day basis, and then but today you can't do it. The margins are small. It's a 24-hour, 7 days. It's very difficult to do what we were doing back then today.
That's really cool. So you found out about that in college, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I found out in college, in my capital markets class, we were learning about triangular arbitrage on currency systems. Basically, banks do that today. A lot of. If you look at currency traders, either take two position or three position or four positions in a given day. They figure out where the margin is, and they'll go out there and do a triangular arbitrage to bring the most profitability in.
For layman's terms, can you again describe triangular arbitrage?
So think about it as a triangle, right?
Hmm.
So you start with your own currency, which is the dollar. So you go from, like today, you will go from the dollar to the euro, euro to the pound, and then pound to the dollar. That creates the triangle, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
start at the dollar, and then you end up at the dollar, but you do like two different currency transactions in between.
Mm.
Or you could do that yet. But back then, you had the Swiss franc, you had the German mark, you had the pound, sterling, we had the yen. So there was a lot of currencies that you could do it. It wasn't just the euro as per se, right? So we could go into the mark to the franc, franc to the pound, pound to the dollar if we wanted to stay in Europe, kind of a thing.
Well, super cool, super cool. So when did you go to college? Right after high school?
Yeah, went out right after high school. I went to college. The guy dabbled in international finance and, believe it or not, medical school. I was thinking of going to medical school and being in pediatrics. Psychology pediatrics was kind of fascinating to me as well. And then kind of decided not to do that. The schooling was a little too long, and I was basically wanted to make money, so I kind of put that aside.
Okay. So how long did you stay in college for?
All in all, about 5 years because I was in a medical track, so it was a 5 year
You're
track.
so you're on a medical track. Oh, so you completed it.
Yeah, I completed the requirements to go into medical school. I got accepted to
Okay. Yeah.
medical school actually.
Nice.
But you know what? Listen, things happen for a reason. If I would have gone to medical school, I would have never met my wife. I would have never had my kids. I would have never been
Tell
doing
me about
this.
it. Tell me about it all. Tell me the whole story. We're moving through. Tell me all the good tips and tricks that made you who you are, the man you are today, the mastermind of business you are today.
Well, the mastermind, believe it or not, like I said, I never had a full time job until I got engaged, literally. And when I got engaged, it was one of those things of like, okay, you know what? I got to go dabble in to get a kind of a call it a real job, right? Instead of going from one experience to another experience, another venture, another venture. So I started at MCI Wireless. Believe it or not, back then I started at on the wireless division, and there were two carriers back then. Well, Cell One, which is AT&T today, and Bell Atlantic, which became Verizon. And we were basically the reseller of the wireless side. And I went from basically customer service rep to eventually the trainer, new hire trainer, and then do all the training on the whole entire facility. And then eventually I went up to become the project manager of MCI. Basically, I controlled the whole project. So I will go out there and look at opportunities where A, number one, we could increase revenue, or B, number two, we could basically cut costs kind of a thing. So Cisco back then in New York, you could have gone to a Cisco facility and you could have done basically call it Zoom or what we're doing today, right? At a Cisco facility to the whole entire network, right? So we kind of put kind of a similar program. I brought a similar program to MCI where you could train in, for example, in New York, and you could actually have new hires in Boston, Chicago, San Francisco, and other regions in a classroom that we could monitor. Since we had the technology and basically back then the T1 levels, which were faster, we kind of start dabbling in that. So I kind of put that project together from New York to Boston, and then New York to Virginia, and then eventually New York to Chicago, and then I was able to merge that in. The internet was basically coming. It was becoming the new thing. It was in the mid '90s, and the internet was coming through. And before the internet, we actually had to fax our orders into the carriers. So I sat down with the carriers and said, "Can we do like an automation, like an API? We call it API today." And I basically did that project, and we were able to now, instead of taking 24 to 48 hours to activate a phone, we reduced it to 8 to 12 hours to activate a phone to the direct link. And Bernie Ebbers from WorldCom bought MCI, and I was part of the transition team on that merger. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I said, this doesn't look good. So I left there and I went to an online retail company. I started as basically director of e-commerce, and again brought that background of the API transaction, making sure like what color, put in a I brought some dat DB guys in to figure out what color sells the most compared to other colors. What's the trend between a male and a female? When is the big purchases come in? I know, yeah, we're in that Christmas holiday, but beside that Christmas holiday, when does it actually trigger? Is it in October? Is it November? All that stuff, and getting our warehouse to become more productive, meaning that when the order comes in, basically have that order fulfilled and shipped within 8 to 12 hour period. I was in line to become the vice president. The president of the operation was going to the vice president of operation was going to become the president, eventually the COO, and I was going to basically be his right hand person, go VP, and then the president. And I decided at that time that if I'm going to put all this hard work for other people, I'd rather put it on myself. So I ventured alone, started from scratch. I started an appraisal business. And I was looked at, I was competing against about 8 to 1,000 appraisers just in the metropolitan area, which is New York and New Jersey and Connecticut. So I had an idea. I said, why don't I go out there and not hire appraisals, but bring in appraisals as basically subcontractors. I get the work and I just funnel it to them. Did that, and we were doing both residential and commercial. Believe it or not, Lehman Brothers was one of our accounts. We did a huge amount of work with Lehman on their CMO stuff when it came to equity side. And then from there, the '08 happened, start scratch again, went into the insurance, and then from the insurance, now I'm in the mobile cyber business. I know, long story, apologies.
That's awesome. So at what year did you start the mobile cyber business?
uh 2021, 2022. Prior to that, I created a company. I created an insurance. I was in the insurance sector. So I created an insurance embedded cybersecurity program to the insurance carrier that provided cybersecurity insurance for SMBs and SMEs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was from there, I was like, here I am protecting everybody after the effect. Why don't I can I have a product to create something prior to the event of an attack happening? And in 20 right after COVID, there was a huge uptick in cyber claims and cyber insurance. It just took a different platform. Before COVID, you kind of knew how to manage it. We knew exactly where the attacks were coming from, but after COVID, it was just a total different platform. Now that you got more remote workers, it's just becoming even a more dynamic, more complicated dynamic to companies. And sat down with my team. I had a relationship with South Africa. My team in South Africa today sat down with them, and we actually approached Checkpoint. So our CyberOne Mobile, we're powered by Checkpoint's Harmony mobile app. We have the licensing for it. So we kind of went to the Checkpoint and we said, listen, will you give us this enterprise suite, this Harmony mobile app that you provide in your enterprise suite? Give us the licensing for it. And then we could bring that licensing direct to consumers and eventually other channel partners. And they said yes, and then we launched it ever since then.
Wow. So that's really interesting. So what exactly um, does your product do different than, say, I know everybody's familiar with like Norton because every computer comes with it and it gets spammed with it. But what is the cybersecurity that you do specifically?
So we only protect the mobile. So our concentration is on the mobile device. So we perfect our biggest protection is malware, mainly fifth gen malware, which is the most sophisticated malware. That was the malware. I don't know if you recall, John, but Jeff Bezos' phone was hacked like 7, 8 years ago. And it turned out that he had fifth gen malware on his phone. And the only reason why he found out that he had malware on his phone is because he complained his phone was hot. Okay. The phone was running hot. And, and he had the IT team. So, we protect that fifth gen malware to be installed on your mobile device. But
Mm-hmm.
we also give you other features with additional costs. We give you anti-phishing, anti-bots. We have URL filtration. The URL filtration is basically unique to our channel partners. We're like right now talking to a private school education in South Africa, where they want to limit the students because they provide the tablets, the iPads, right, to their students. We want to only limit them to go to 3 websites, right? So
Mm.
our URL filtration, we could actually bring the filter to such a maximum that we only allow the end user, meaning the student, to only go to 3 websites, right? That's where the URL filtration works. On the other side, we have a Wi-Fi protection. With our Wi-Fi protection, we automatically include a VPN to it. So on our Wi-Fi, you actually go to your phone, you go into the app, you click on Wi-Fi. So let's say you're at Starbucks or you're at a hotel or you're at the airport, anything that you want to use a public Wi-Fi. You click on the app. You basically click on the app. You click on the Wi-Fi protection. The VPN goes live. Now you're scrambled, so no people could attack you that way. And then we have other features that we also include with our channel partners, where we could provide private labeling. We're basically that's one of our niche when it comes to our channel partners because we actually so if you're going to do business with Norton, Norton is going to use their brand over your company's brand, right? They're going to be basically co-branded together. We're not going to be co-branded. Whoever channel partner is, like we have a channel partner right now in Aon in South Africa, right? Our product is under Aon umbrella. CyberOne, we're in the back end. We don't even participate in it. Their client doesn't know who we are. So when it comes to our channel partners, one of the best features we have is that we could private label it to our channel partners, and it's their brand that's more important than our brand. And on the back end on that, we actually provide a dashboard to the end user, meaning the corporate client. So for example, John, let's say you're the CTO of or CIO of a multinational company, and you have a dashboard, and I'm one of your employees, and I'm at my child soccer game and on the weekend, and I'm not paying attention, but I'm looking at my Outlook, and I accidentally click on a link. I got an email. It was a phishing email. I accidentally click on it, and I click on the link that was provided to it, and I'm going to get malware coming in. You on your end on that dashboard automatically see my name highlighted in red. That your team automatically immediately takes me off the network. You basically isolate me off the network. That will prevent any hacker to get into to your network of your company. And that's also what we also provide with our channel partners.
Man, that is so fascinating. Explain to me, so what is fifth generation malware specifically? Why is that different than fourth generation? And how does it get downloaded? Like, what are some ways that it gets downloaded on somebody's phone?
They call it fifth gen malware is because the malware just evolved from, it has a basically call it, I want to use this very loose word, but has a brain of its own, right? You put the program in with guidelines of what you want the malware to do, and then you could basically put it to sleep. And when it becomes alive, it could basically has a brain of its own. It could actually go, spider out. And that's basically
Like
it.
it's AI almost connected
It's
to.
it's kind of it's not AI. It eventually it's going to become AI. They're working on the AI side. The hackers are actually working on the AI
That
side.
would be wild.
Yeah. But it's a very sophisticated malware, meaning that the code is so sophisticated that you can literally hide it. And I'll tell you one of the best places where hackers hide the fifth gen malware: gaming apps, huge gaming apps. Gaming apps is the number one app downloads in Google Play or Apple Store. And the hackers actually put the signature out malware underneath or behind the gaming app, and you don't even know. Even Apple or Samsung, Google even don't know that it's there. The moment it gets downloaded, basically it's asleep, then it becomes activated and basically takes over the phone or puts it in the phone for data to get released. So today's app, our app is not only like if you look at Norton, McAfee, any other antivirus companies, they're basically looking at signature. Every hack, every malware has a signature to it. Basically call it the hacker signature. That's how he's signing it, right? It's the code signature, right? And they look at that code signature. Once they find that code signature, they put it into their database, and then that's how you get these updates on your computer, right? Goes in there, updates the computer. They know what the signature comes in. Our app does two things. We're a signature based, meaning we know what signatures are out there. We're also behavior based. So we basically monitor your behavior, right? I tell the team at CyberOne, we keep up with your rhythm, right? So we're not going to stop your rhythm. We're not going to slow down your rhythm. Whatever your rhythm is, you could go out there and do it. What we're going to do, we're going to monitor your rhythm. So let me ask you a question. Are you on social media a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. So your app will work differently than mine. Our app on your system will be very aggressive, meaning that constantly will run because it knows your behavior. Where on my end, since I don't go to social media, all on social media I do is LinkedIn and a couple of other stuff. We'll actually know, we'll go with my rhythm on my behavior. Meaning it'll run every 2-3 hours. On yours, it might run every half hour, 45 minutes, even sooner or later, depending on what your behavior is. So that's what we have in it.
Okay, very cool. If there's already malware on the phone, so say somebody has a phone for a while, there's already malware on it. Can it detect that, or only new malware that comes in after it's downloaded?
No, it will detect it. It will tell you that it detected it. It will remove it. But by that time, the damage has already been done.
Mm.
The hacker has probably if they wanted to, they already capture whatever information they want. And then it will prevent any new malware trying to be installed. Will actually prevent that from happening. And everything happens on the back end. You, the user, you get notified, right? So on the phone, you go to the app, you click on it, and you'll see it like a 1 or a 2 or a 3, like highlighted in red. When you click on it, it will actually tell you, yeah, on this day you did this event that caused basically a scam. A malware was detected and was automatically detected and removed from your phone. And you could literally get into the programming to figure out exactly where it was. Most customers don't really want to get into that programming side, but you could literally get into it and figure out what the signature is on the back end. But as on the consumer side, was basically very simple. So, John, when cybersecurity is it's a very complicated and scary thing, right? So when we launched this 2 years ago, I turned to the team and I said, I want to do two things. For us to be successful in the consumer market, we got to basically fall into two consumer categories. One of them is simplicity, and other was an enhancement, right? So if you look at the Amazon model, simplicity, right? You go, you purchase it, it gets delivered the same day. That's also enhancement in simplicity, and that's what we try to do. So, our app is very simple. You go to our website, you purchase the code, we send you the email with the code on it, with instruction how to download it. You download the app from the Google Play or Apple Store. You put in the code, done. You're basically done. The app does the rest. It runs on the background. It doesn't take any battery life. It doesn't slow down your phone. It doesn't slow down your device. You don't even know the app is there and running on the back end.
So a couple of questions for you. One of them is you're talking about the website filtering. I know there's like some places that if my son goes on the iPad for school and stuff like that, there's some things that I don't want him to go to. But then also I do want him, I'm teaching him how to use AI to problem solve and different things. So there's a lot of stuff I want him to use, a lot of stuff I don't. What's the customization look like for that for your app?
We basically we leave that to you. We put the filter rate when it comes to the consumer end. When it comes to our URL filtration, we kind of put it at medium high, right? You could actually send us an email saying, "Hey, listen, on this phone number, like on your son, you have that on the iPod or the pad, but if it was a mobile device, we actually attach to a mobile device, okay? But let me just give you an example. On that mobile device, you give us the mobile device's number, and then we can actually go in there and say, okay, what websites do you want your child to go to? And you say these 3 websites. And then on that mobile device only, that's the only website that mobile device will go to. We'll change the filtration on our back end as requested by our customers. Like I said, I want to keep up with your rhythm. I don't want to slow your rhythm down. Right? You can do whatever you want. You have the right to do whatever you want. And we could individually change it accordingly as requested.
Yeah. There's this another app that I remember I used a long time ago. It's called like Covenant Eyes, so it kind of protects your device from showing anything inappropriate on there and stuff like
Right.
that. Does yours kind of do something like that as well?
No,
Or just
we're in
blocks out
that
full filter?
basically we're the most on the sophisticated side, right? So we're like basically you could do whatever you want. I'll say this again, and I'm sorry to repeat myself. Our app is to make sure that you don't get 5th-gen malware. If you want to go to a malicious website or any website that you're not supposed to go to, the app will allow it, right? But if you're going to get malware from that location or whatever it is, maybe you're going to get malware on it, we'll prevent it, right?
Hmm.
So you could go to, if you want to go to any adult sites, you want to go to any cannabis sites or whatever it is, we'll allow you to do it. The app will allow you. It's not going to restrict you. But we're there to prevent anything that's going to happen, right?
Hmm.
We're not going to basically, we're not there, forgive me to use this term, we're not there to adult you, right?
Hmm.
You're free to do whatever you want. Just think of us as you're the president and we're the Secret Service, right? I like to use that terminology. You're the president and we're the Secret Service, right? You're free to do whatever you want to do, right? But God forbid, if we see an attack coming, we're just going to hover over you to protect you. That's basically what we do.
Right. What kind of data are we afraid of people stealing? And I'd like you to talk a little bit more about that because it's like, okay, they're going to have my name and address. Well, they can just look that up on the government website from, who owns this house kind of a thing. So what kind of data am I afraid people taking?
The data that you have more data on your phone than any other device. So the biggest data you have is your banking data, right? That's number one. The banking information. You have PayPal, Zelle, Zillow, Venmo. You have your banking app on the phone. Let's say you want to do your banking online, right? If you want to do your banking online, I don't like, for example, you go open up a checking account today. The first thing the person says, "Why don't you download the app and log into it?" And that app is always live now, right? You got your insurance information online on your app. All insurance companies now say, "Go to the app." You see this advertisement. Oh, at Geico or Allstate or State Farm. If you're in a car accident, just take pictures, go to the app, and then install. Upload the images. That app is always live, right? You have Outlook on your phone. If you're an employee, you got Outlook on your phone. On your computer, if you don't use Outlook for a certain period of time, it logs you out. You have to log back into it. On your phone, it's always Outlook is always open. Microsoft Outlook is always open. You just click on it, and and it just goes right through. So it's not your name or address. That information has already been stolen. Your date of birth has already been stolen. Social Security, that information has already been done. It's already in the dark web, right? And if you like, for example, if you go get LifeLock, and the moment you put in your information, I did this as a test. The moment I put in my information, all these things came out on the dark website. Or removed you. So that's already there. The scary part is your banking. All I have to do is put malware on your phone. Now, then, second thing I got to do, I could mirror your phone. Once I mirror your phone, I just have to wait for you to go to your banking app. And once your bank is open, I could see, how much money you got in there. 10,000, 20,000, 5,000, 3,000, whatever it is. I'll just wire it to myself, right? And it's not like a credit card where I could call the credit card company and say, "Hey, by the way, that wasn't my transaction." They'll take the charge. They'll not charge me, send me a new card. With the bank, they gotta close my account. Then they gotta investigate. Well, how about if I wrote checks on that money? Now I'm going to get charged back on that account. It's just a headache. And basically, that's what they're after. They're after two things: your Outlook, contact on your Outlook, and then your banking information. That's where they're going at. They're going to withdraw money. And with AI today, that's even more scary. I don't know, John. Do you know that AT&T just got hacked about 3 years ago?
No, I didn't.
Okay, AT&T was hacked 3 years ago. They just actually settled for $177 million. If you're an AT&T customer, you're going to get anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000 from AT&T. And their AT&T Wireless was attacked. The hackers didn't just steal a phone number. They actually stole text messaging and voicemails. What do you think they're going to do with that? You mentioned AI, right? Well, they're going to put an AI in there. They're going to find out your voice. They're going to mimic your voice. And they're going to find out who your contact is, right? And then they're going to maliciously send you voicemails or whatever they want to do. They could become creative. I could go into depths of creation of what they could do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
Well, we
gotta
were even
think.
talking about like your daughter calls you and says, "Hey, can you send me $50?"
Yeah,
Your daughter leaves you a
exactly,
voicemail, and you're like, "Oh
exactly.
yeah, that's my daughter," and she's like, "I didn't tell you that,"
Yeah,
let alone a
exactly.
thousand or $5,000, but yeah.
Right. Hey, Dad, I'm going out with a friend. Can you send me $25? You just send her $25, and they'll just keep going that with you and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically what it is. That's where we're going out. That's where we're headed right now. There was an incident. I don't recall how long ago, but a hacker had gone into a company's email system basically and had sent a CFO a letter from the CEO, basically exactly how the CEO wanted to write it, and basically wire transfer $250,000 to this bank account, which the CFO did, and it turned out that it was fraud. So they used AI to exactly mimic the language of the CEO to send to the CFO to extract that money, right? So that's also another way the hackers are actually go into it. And then once you have malware, they'll just, whatever information, your credit cards, everything they'll just take and they'll just start charging. And um,
Mm.
it gets more complicated and scary. I just
So, but you're saying that with your technology, it's able to go out and delete all that information that somebody maybe already has on you, or what's already out there is out there. It's just stopping
that
from getting
whatever's
bad
out there is
information.
out there. We're gonna prevent that malware to be installed from the start.
Hmm.
So we're not even gonna allow malware to be installed. We're not gonna even allow a malicious
Is
activity to happen.
is there
We're gonna
any
we're gonna
way?
prevent it before the event.
Is there any way to delete the information that's already out there, or try to like reclaim most of it?
Um,
I guess,
yeah,
or
you
would
got
it just maybe
yeah, that
like,
will be LifeLock. That will be kind of on the LifeLock side or other companies' side where they'll go out there in the dark web and they'll try to delete or take away your information out there. You could do that, yes. Well, we
or
don't do that.
or would that be it's? I mean, even then, LifeLock. I mean, when when it's out on the internet, it's on the internet. So
Yeah.
maybe like download your app, change all your account information and everything, and change everything that's important, move your money around, and then say from now on they're not going to have this new data. I guess might even be better.
Yeah, you could do that, or you could just you could absolutely do that, or you could do exactly do whatever you want to do. Just we'll protect you. We're there
Hmm.
to protect you. We're not going to allow any attacks to happen, and that's why we partners with. That's why we basically partnered with Checkpoint because me and my team. We're actually going to build this app from scratch, and we were like, you know what? Why are we building something from scratch when there's already an app out there that's very. I mean, listen, Checkpoint does enterprise suite cybersecurity platform for the Fortune 50 companies, and the Harmony Mobile is one of those features that they offer. So when we approached Checkpoint, that was our goal. We wanted that Harmony. We want just the licensing just for that Harmony Mobile for us to get, and then we're very proud to have them as a partner with us. And the license, and we have the licensing for them because they're an Israeli-based company. And one thing about Israelis, they're leading. They're I don't want to say they're more leading than the United States, but they're more leading than the United States and China when it comes to cybersecurity.
Mm.
So whatever signatures or any thing that might happen in the marketplace, they'll know about it. They'll automatically update the Harmony mobile app, and then we'll go ahead and prevent it. Like I said, when we got Aon in South Africa, Aon was looking at our competition. They were looking at McAfee. They were looking at Malwarebytes. They were looking at other companies like Lookout, for example. And they, at the end, they chose us because of what we offer, because of our security platform and about our private labeling platform, about our support platform, and many other platforms that we have. And that's why they went with us rather than our competition.
Mm. Very cool. Very cool. Um, what kind of questions or anything do you have that you like that you get a lot?
Depends who I'm talking to. You gotta spit. You gotta bring it down a little bit. Bring the phone. Uh, I think you know what I was at. When I'm talking to, I like to. I think everybody's an entrepreneur, and I love to see young men and women out there dabble in the entrepreneur way. So that's one thing I try to do a lot. Whoever is young and they're enthusiastic about doing an entrepreneur, I like to help them out. I'll give you an example. I was playing golf this weekend, and there were these two kids that were selling water and Gatorade on the golf course, and they allowed it to do that. And they would say, "This is for a bike. We're saving money for a bike," and they were just sitting there. They were just sitting there. So I went up to them. I said, "If you're sitting here, no one's going to buy it from you. What you got to do, you got to go to the 10th tee because every golfer that's coming off the 10th tee, 9th tee, going to the 10th tee, they probably ran out of water. They're thirsty. That's where you want to be, right? That's where your location is." And I guess they did it because when I came back from the 10th tee, they had a smile on their face. I mean, they were making money and all that stuff. So yeah, whatever I could go out there and help young people just look at things differently. Listen, sometimes it takes, like I said, it was because of my neighbor, Mr. Bernstein, that I dabbled in the entrepreneur business. I had no idea at the age of 10 this was how it was gonna end up. But he just came up to me and said, "Hey, kid, mow my lawn," and And from there he encouraged me to continue doing it to make money. Listen, I was charging $1 in the 80s. I'll tell you how much $1 went. I know I'm much older than you, John, but I'll tell you exactly how $1 went. There was a pizzeria across in the neighborhood. Two slices, a small drink, and an Italian ice was $1.50. That's how far $1 went. So one house just basically fed my stomach. So yeah, so I kind of took that in, and like Andrew Carnegie said it best. He goes, once you get to a certain level, your job is to make sure you bring the next generation up to that level, because that's what your responsibility is for. So I like to do my best to keep educate the young generation and help them as best as I can, and give them the support they need. You never know. Like you never know. One of these two kids might turn out that they will say, "Oh, look, how did this happen?" And that creates some sort of idea, and they go to the next level. So you never know.
Yeah, they're like, man, if we raised $500 in a day for a bike, we can do this for not a bike,
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about your business experience and marketing. How do you market your cybersecurity business right now?
That's a very good question. It's very to me. Everybody that markets cybersecurity, I don't know if you've seen Norton Norton VPN. Yeah, Norton VPN.
Yeah, on my
They have a
computer,
mother
my
and daughter
Windows.
sitting in a park, and all of a sudden this guy is coming from the behind, and it goes a bubble, right? To me, I was like, wow, that's a scary advertising, right? What we like to do in our team, we like to look at, like I said, the consumer is the president, we're the Secret Service, right? That's one analogy that we like to do. The other analogy is that the consumer to us is the superhero, right? The villain, the consumer is not the villain, and the hacker, gets to use that, right, and violate the consumer. So we want our consumers to be the superhero, whether they want to be Superman, Wonder Woman, Iron Man, Captain America, whoever they want, Hulk or whatever. That's where we're trying to go to that platform, is to say to our consumers that you're the superhero and you're going to prevent the villain from taking advantage of you. So it's a very tough market. The big players only control a very small segment of the market at 100%, right? At 100%. So there's over 7 billion mobile devices in globally. 7 billion. It's almost equaling to population, right? If you look at the competition, they only have a very tiny segment of the market. And one of that reason is like, okay, I'll use you as an example. You will say, what's the likelihood that my phone is going to get hacked, right? And what's the likelihood of my phone going to be hacked? Like you said, the magic word. They already have my address. They already have my name. It's already in public records. A lot of customers don't realize they're not after your name and address anymore. They're after like I mentioned, your bank information, your credit card, your other information that you have on your phone, your digital pictures.
Are they able to get data through facial recognition? So like crypto is one of the things I wanted to talk about with you for this. Having crypto, on my phone, or certain wallets, access to certain wallets on my phone. Are they able to hack that barrier just by having some malware on my phone because I have access to it on my phone?
Yeah, so if you have malware on your phone, and what they'll do, they'll wait until you access it, and once you access it, you give them the gateway in, and then they could go in there. Yes.
Mm. How do you give them? Is it so they screen record and they can see you type in the
Oh
password?
yeah, 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 yeah,
What
yeah. Yeah.
about
They
like the
monitor your
facial
future.
recognition? Like if you use the app and use it and it just like reads your face to
Yeah,
get
but if
in?
I have your phone, I could actually get into your facial recognition because you have pictures of yourself on your phone,
Mm.
and I could use that facial picture of yourself, do an AI platform on it, do a facial recognition on it, and then and open anything I want. Yeah, that's
Oh,
right. Actually, that's a very good question. That's where I was going. With all these photos that you have on your phone, they could now capture your photos with AI and then use that to any facial recognition. That if you have any security platform that has facial recognition, they could use those pictures, you know, change it around to do whatever they want to do. Yeah.
wow, that's crazy. So keep going with what you were talking about though.
Yeah, but you brought up a good point. You actually brought up a good point. The moment you have malware on your phone, they have two ways of doing it, right? They could either mirror your phone on their end and basically be you somewhere else, or they could go ahead there and extract information out, right? So I could put malware on your phone, and then basically the operation says, all right, if he, go to the Outlook or his Yahoo or Gmail and extract all the contact information and send that to me, right? I could use that now because I want to use that for a fishing expedition, right? I could do that. Or I could put malware on the phone and say, go capture any credit card or banking information in there. And I could mirror it, right? Um, if you have Ring on your phone, right? And I have malware on if we have malware on the phone, I could disable the Ring on your mobile device on your home device if I really wanted to, right?
Really?
There's so much things that they could do on the phone is ridiculous. And by the way, and here's the thing, I'm glad that you brought it up. I'm glad that you brought crypto up. Hackers are opportunistic. They're never one step ahead. And the opportunity right now that they see is that everything is on a mobile device and it's not protected. So I'm going to go after it. And whatever I could attract. I have three phones: T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T. And the reason why I have it is because actually I have six phones, but we use it in our team to see which network does what, how our app works. It's all back end stuff that I'm not going to bore you with. But on my AT&T phone, ironically, my AT&T phone, I use it for with my friends that we want to play golf, right. I get 2 to 3 text messages a day saying, "Hey Steve, book the foursome on this golf course. Click on this link to verify." And here's the thing. It's coming out as a random number. Once the hacker, right, realizes that he could go into my contact list and change that number to one of my friends' names, I think it's legitimate. I'm going to click on it, right? So they're not there yet. They're going to get there. They're going to change the name on text messaging. They're going to change the names on everything else, on voicemails. Like, I love this one. They send text messaging from a 6-3 from European number about your Amazon account or your Apple account, or they want part-time job. What they're doing, a couple of things, John. They're validating your phone. They don't know if your phone is an active number or a non-active number, right? So what they're doing is by sending you some text. I don't know if have you ever gotten a text that just says hi on it?
Oh my gosh. Well, if you're talking about my spams, I get a high text every day. I get your tolls you're about to go to jail if you don't pay your tolls. And I know I pay because I never click the link. I go to, the actual website, log in, and everything's paid for. But they're like, this is your final thing. I mean, like just today, I've got two this morning, you know, hey, this just dropping this video for you that you asked for. Here's the link.
Right.
I don't. Do you stop that too? Do you stop the
No,
text and the calls?
no, you can't stop malicious information coming through to it.
Oh, it's the worst. It drives me.
Yeah,
And the calls. Oh my gosh, the calls. I can't with the calls. I get 3 calls a day of people trying to help me with all my different businesses.
right.
Anyhow.
But no, what I'm saying to there, like for example, that toll app or that toll app's text, if there's no link on it, they want you to reply. Once you reply, now they know this is an active phone. And once it becomes an active phone, it becomes a total different book,
Hmm.
right? Because a lot of remember when they stole this information, all these information. Oh, by the way, that you could buy mobile numbers on a third party vendor tomorrow. I could buy you the whole entire 300 million U.S. consumer telephone numbers, cell phone numbers, right? But I don't know. Some of them are old. Some of them are deactivated. I don't know who's who. I don't know anything about it, right? I just know the phone number. That's the phone number. So SMS texting is the best way to find out if a phone number is active. And if it's active, then that becomes a total different ballgame. Then they start sending you text messaging that's basically the way you will communicate, whether to your friends or your family or anything like something like that. So I'll give you a scary example. Once they verify your phone number, they will actually send a text message from your wife on a link, whether it will be X, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is, Instagram. And the moment you click on it, malware is on your phone.
Hmm.
That's where they're going with this.
Wow. What percentage? So you're telling me about how like the big companies have a small fraction of the market for when it comes to these phones. How many people actually have some kind of cybersecurity on their phone?
That's a very good question. And I wish I could tell you the true data. It's all over because when you look at McAfee and Norton, their antivirus is equivalent in the equation of their market share. They don't break it down, right? If you look at ExpressVPN, it's just a VPN, right? Um, I will bet to guess about maybe 15, 20% of the total US market have some sort of prevention. The market is open. 70 to 75% is the market is already open. It's open. They don't have it. They won't have it. So if you do that math, you're looking at over 200 million people. If you look at, say, 70% don't have it, and you're looking at a market share in the US of 300 million. So you're looking at close to 210 million that don't have mobile protection. And the hackers know that. That's why they went for AT&T, by the way, because AT&T is the largest wireless carrier in the United States. They already hacked Verizon and T-Mobile. They're waiting. They're Deutsche Telekom, which has over 240 million customers. They're going to get attacked. They already know it. We have already had conversation with Deutsche and stuff. But they know it. They know it's coming, and they're going to prevent it. That's why we kind of pivoted, John. We actually went into the business to business channel first, but then this is a direct to consumer. Every consumer needs to have this. You need to have it. Your wife needs to have it. Your friend and family, your father and mother, everybody needs to have it. And if they're elderly, they need to have it because that's where they're going first. They're going for young kids and then elderly.
Mm, that is crazy. So when it comes to the business standpoint, this is such a great opportunity because it's a subscription service, right?
Right.
You're able to get the longevity of it. So your LTV is, at least past a year typically.
Yes.
Um, and then the cost is typically low because you said it's actually like how much does it cost you to run it, once you've made the software? How does it actually work? Because like again, I'm like when it comes to like deep coding and technology, I'm not like super familiar with it. So for those other people out there like us in layman's terms, how does that actually work? Is there somebody behind a computer per every phone that types in, or is it just a software that they're having up and the software goes out and searches for the malware? So it's pretty much inexpensive for somebody to sign on and
Right.
download
So
the app.
we have the licensing. So there's a licensing cost on our end to Checkpoint. So, and we put all our cost into that licensing, whatever the operation, business expense, marketing, salary is, we put it on that cost. So we're right now, our margin, it's kind of high. Like, listen, like any margin, if you look at Costco and Amazon, they're working on a very tiny margin. I mean, they're talking about profit of 7 to 12% on their margin of profitability, but they're talking about volume, right? Um, I'll give you an example. Costco actually loses money on each product that they sell. Their money comes into membership, right? And then that's point of period. Um, our margin right now is at 30% in the beginning. But as the like anything else, like the Costco or Amazon, as the subscription model increases and our customer base increases, our margin actually increases with it, right? Um, when it comes to you asked a question like on the coding on the software side, that once you download the app runs on the background, is constantly connected to the App Store for any updates or the Google Play for any updates. You don't even realize the app is running, right? So there is no. We took. Remember what I said. I wanted for me to succeed in the consumer market. I got to make it as simple as possible, right? And the simplicity is basically we call it a hands-off experience. So if you download my app, John, and next week you go to the app is running without you even knowing about it. And if you do something maliciously, the app will tell you, right? So we kind of made it. I can't make it any more simpler than that. As for the business model side, right now we're running about a 94% retention on any subscription that we get on an annual basis, right?
Wow, nice.
That's a very high number. It is.
Mhm. That
To me,
is.
that's a low number. I think we could run at a 98%. I think we could go up to a 99%. We're going to have drop offs, right? But when you sell one device for $53 for the year and four devices for $170, and if you look at that 53 to the 170, and you're looking at $4 a month on the one device and $3 a month on the four devices, that's less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and that's basically less than anything. You can't even buy pizza anymore with that, right? So we know we've brought our price points to a position that we're way below our competition by $20 to $30, even higher, by keeping our margin very tight in the beginning to capture market share. I don't want. I don't like that. I've been in the insurance sector for over 30 years, and there's one thing I learned in the insurance sector: never say one price to a consumer and then a year later give them another price. Like for example, you're in Florida, right, John? Don't you hate it when your insurance policy goes up every 6 months or every year without you knowing it by 8%? You're like, what the hell is going on, right? That bothers you, right? Well, the same thing applies to us. I don't want to have, oh, I'm going to give you my app for $20 and then next year charge you $89. That's not going to happen. So we've kept it in a position that I have margin to raise the rate if I want to at a later period down the line, but right now I don't have to do it. So it's tight, but we'll be profitable once we get
Mhm.
once we get the traction. Sure.
Yeah. Well, so that's really cool. Um, you get the licensing, and it was Gateway, you said? Something
Checkpoint.
like that. Checkpoint. Yep. Sorry. So Checkpoint gives you the licensing, and that is for what specifically that you offer?
That's for the Harmony mobile app that we have the exclusivity to bring that directly to consumer side.
And what does exactly does that do?
That's the app. That's the co-branded app that when you go to the Apple's, when you go to Google or apps, Google Play or the App Store, that's the app you're actually downloading. And once you download that app, you'll see CyberOne and Harmony Mobile, and then we're basically the name, the brand in the front, and Harmony Mobile is the back end, right?
Mhm.
So imagine this. Mint Mobile, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Mint Mobile is not a carrier. So when you have a policy with Mint Mobile, you either AT&T is giving you the number or Verizon is giving you the number.
Right.
Mint Mobile just may negotiate in better rates, right? So we're basically that. We're a little bit more. We're more sophisticated than that, but that's the best way to do it. Is that we have the best rating possible on the Harmony Mobile app from Checkpoint. If you go to Checkpoint to get this product, you're not going to get our pricing. The pricing is going to go through the roof. You're not even going to
Mm.
get that. $53 is cheap compared to what they're going to give you. They're not even going to give it to you. They're not even going to sell you the Harmony mobile app by itself. Is either enterprise suite or non-enterprise suite. We're the only one that actually sells that one feature directly to consumers.
Mm.
So we're powered by a very successful company. And what we do on our end is that we basically become the face of the product and and we're right there to protect the consumer, kind of a thing.
Mhm.
We want to make sure that I don't want to say I want to hold your hand, but I want to kind of hold your hand through the journey. And like I said, you're the president, we're the Secret Service. You go do you, and we'll protect you if anything that happens. And we'll do it under we have the support team and the team to do it for you guys.
Right. And then so to just go through all the things that you specifically offer to clients versus other people. So you have the VPN, is that with the Harmony app or is that separate? The
No,
VM.
so we've taken the whole entire package. So it's the Wi-Fi protection that comes with the VPN, right? URL filtration, anti-bots, anti-phishing, and the most sophisticated is the fifth gen malware. We offer all these five into our product at one price at $53, right? So if you go to our competition to McAfee does free scanning. But if you want scanning to prevent malware, there's one fee. If you want phishing, there's one fee. If you want this, is another fee. So they basically upsell you. Even like ExpressVPN. they upsell you as you go along, right? We don't want to upsell because cybersecurity is complicated to begin with, right? So we say we're a one-stop shop. You get all these features for one price. You go do whatever you want to do, and we'll protect you on the back end.
Mm. And from a marketing strategy, that's really good because it is confusing all these different things. Um, what does it even do? Do I even need it? Kind of a thing. I'm sure you get a lot of these questions.
Right.
When it comes to that perspective, when people have all these questions, because it is such a complicated thing, how are you able to get past that? Those questions, get past any of those like uncertainties that maybe clients would have, so they can buy the product and understand that this is what they need.
Well, one of the uncertainties that we deal with is, do I really need this? Right? Do I
Mm-hmm.
really need to spend $53? Then once we have a conversation with them, they understand. In regards to all the features that we said, not had a customer turn to me and say, I don't want that feature. Even if they say, I don't want that feature, I will say, well, it's already included. Whether you use it, whether you do anything with it or you don't do anything with it, is already included in the price. But I haven't had that. I've had more of, yeah, Steve, let me get back to you. Yeah, Steve, like with our sales team is always like, this is good. Everybody says, I need this, but it takes them a long time to get it, right? So we kind of use the analogy, we use kind of an insurance analogy. It's like um, when you buy a home, you immediately put homeowner's insurance to it, right? Yeah. Well, why? Well, maybe if I have a loss. Well, which loss is what will be devastating? Well, fire loss. Well, what's the chances of your house catching on fire? 0.000 something percent, right? But you take that, you're taking the position to protect that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have more information. You, for example, you have crypto on your phone. You have more information on your phone than anything else.
I
You
would be
have to protect
horrified. Yeah, I'd be broke if
that.
something bad happened. That'd be horrible. And well, even like I'm super bullish on AI right now too, and I just think it's crazy the things that it's doing. Even when ChatGPT 5 came out with the AI agent, I'm just like, wow, it can go out, have its own little computer, and go and do all these different tasks for you. It can take your payment information and go do all these things. It's amazing. It's phenomenal. And I can't even imagine, man. They probably already are hooking up a ChatGPT 5 agent to these malwares to go and get these information. I've seen people say like, okay, here's $100, go make me money, and the agent will go make money and will allocate that $100 in different ways to like get projects done. So like now, if not, I think it's gonna be quicker than I think people realize even. And I'm even like talking to you like this. I'll probably end up buying some CyberOne security after this because I'm just like thinking, wow, it's probably gonna be so like spread out because it is like, oh, how can that happen? Because I do think it's sometimes it's like, oh, I only have so many servers. A cyber hacker probably can only get so many people at once. But with these AI agents, they can, AI agents on top of AI agents on top of AI agents can get hundreds of thousands of people. I'm sure. Um, Probably by this time next year, I think it's just going to be so crazy the amount of power these agents are going to have, which is super scary to think about. But super cool, very helpful in the business standpoint, but also when it comes to the security standpoint, it is like, you know, it's a big deal.
Well, that's true. Actually, did you see what the new Prime Minister of England wants to pass? It
Mm-mm.
has basically kind of the digital ID on your phone,
Mm.
and the political move on this will allow illegal immigration. Every cybersecurity, the bigger guys than me and everybody else, right, have basically started to. I said, "Are you crazy? You're gonna put a digital ID on the mobile device, nonetheless, onto one platform, then giving the hacker basically one source to go capture all that information. And when I mean that digital ID, I mean it's basically your life is on this. Your life is on this, right? And then if England passes that, and one thing interesting about England is in England there are more cell phones than there is population. It's actually 2-to-1 ratio. If this passes, other countries in the EU basically mimic it. That's actually makes mobile more of a threat than it is currently. Okay. Um, I've no one believes me when I say this because people say I'm crazy when I say this. But in the next 5 to 10 years, I will guarantee you. Listen, Steve Jobs, Apple, and Samsung put two industries out of business: camera business and camcorder business. Right? Out of business. It's gone. It's finished. There's no longer. It's on here. Right? The way I see young kids using their phones today, laptops in the next 10 years will not exist. It will be their tablets or mobile devices. Okay. If you look at, for example, if you look at our behavior is a little bit different, John, compared to the rest of the world when it comes to digital connection. South Korea is more digitally connected than anywhere in the world. And in South Korea, their phone is actually like a tablet. It flips open. And then boom, 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 they do whatever they wanted to do. They could write papers. They could do whole sorts of things, right? I was actually talking to one of the major telecoms in South Korea, and they were talking to me about this, and it was absolutely fascinating what their technology is compared to what we're going through. But that technology is eventually going to come this way, and once that happens, your child will be more on the phone than a TV, iPad, or anything else than ever before. And the hackers are coming after this. And, you know, to be an entrepreneur, you have to also be an opportunistic, right? And right now, this is the opportunity. Like what they're all saying is 50% hard work, 50% luck. Well, here's my 50% luck, right? I'm putting the 50%, which is 200% hard work into it to get it done and up and running. But it's going to be the mobile is going to be the future. And when they attack your information and they have your information, you're done. And like I said, I don't want to repeat myself, but the scary point is when they have your banking information, they'll withdraw whatever money you have out of that account. Gone. See you later.
Horrifying.
It's done.
Yeah. Why doesn't Apple have as good of a security? Why
They
doesn't
do.
Windows?
No,
Why
the
can't Windows
iOS
do
is a
this?
top secure system.
Yeah, I would say iOS is super annoying. It's like super secure.
Yeah, it's super secure. You know what? It's secure, but they're not gonna.
It's more like the apps and the other stuff that you have the
Yeah,
freedom to do.
exactly.
So
Right.
they're secure on like because I feel like again my information probably on Apple is very secure. So like my Apple Wallet is probably. Do you feel like that's secure? Unless somebody's mirroring my phone, it can see my read my card numbers, an expiration date and security code. Besides that mirroring stuff, but they can't like go and hack into my Apple Wallet, right? I mean
Yeah.
iOS is pretty secure.
Yeah.
So what what are all these things like you guys and all these other cybersecurity stuff? Um, it's like there's that extra on top, or why doesn't Windows or Apple include that?
It's just there's too much information. The iOS is not gonna. The iOS is gonna lock. It's the operation system that's gonna lock your phone, right? But it's not gonna have the feature in there to prevent malware to be installed based on your behavior usage. You know what I'm trying to say? So Apple doesn't have even Google Play Store doesn't have the system to put, like I said, the most beside the phishing and expedition that the hackers do. When they put malware on a gaming app all the way in the operation system, Apple and Google can pick that up. They won't pick that up. They will never pick that up.
Mm.
They're now trying to pick that up, meaning who they're going to come with legitimacy of these apps being onto their store. But they're not going to pick that up. They're not
Mm.
going to pick that up.
How does your code or Harmony's code pick that up? I know that's very complicated,
It's very
but
complicated, and I'll be honest with you, I got to get my team to answer that question for you on that stuff. Um, it goes into the back end, and it's like I said, every malware has a signature attached to it, and we know every cybersecurity company knows what the signature is, and if they try to change the signature to do it, I'll give you an example. One thing our app does, right? When you're on TikTok, our app is constantly warning you. Your information, you're putting too much information. They're capturing your keystroke. They just capture your picture. They're downloading this. It's constantly telling you what TikTok is capturing, right? And most importantly is the keystrokes. That's what they're capturing. And the app constantly tells you, right? So in that situation, we're basically warning you, but if you want to keep doing it, you're going to keep doing it. If you decide to install a malware, we'll prevent that. But we're not going to prevent you from putting your information out there as much as you want. We'll warn you, but at the end of the day, it's your responsibility not to do it. But that's how the app works. It's like I said, it's the behavior goes in there and follows the behavior side. Mm. And any malware attached to it has a signature and knows what that signature is and know what that behavior is and will prevent it from happening.
Yeah. This is so interesting just because recently we actually had and I know we've been kind of going away from the business side of it, talking about more about like cybersecurity, but I'm super interested in this because like recently we just had one of our clients, the most horrible thing ever, a big team. We're kind of like consultants for the e-com side with them, but they had somebody went onto one of their landing pages and and hacked it somehow, redirecting stuff, was basically stealing $200,000 a month worth of, you know, purchases a month for I think 2 months, and we were like, what the heck is happening? Yeah, with 2 months, which I can't believe we let it go on for 2 months, but we're doing a lot of money with them, and it took us forever and we kind of think who it was. We had to like fire somebody, and he was like, what are you doing? Like, it wasn't me. So we don't know, like, was it him or was it somebody through him?
Yeah.
Like, how did they get in here and do this on the inside? And that cost us a lot of money and hurt a lot of relationships too. And it's a real thing because like we just experienced that. And what you were saying about the corporate side, like I don't know how that works with like landing pages and e-com and stuff like that. Probably the same, right? But that's you're more mobile devices.
We're more mobile devices. But
Yeah.
again,
So,
but you're doing everything. If I find out you're an e-commerce company and you're using your email system on your phone to sell items, right? Well, then if I'm a hacker, I could start playing around with that and see what I could capture from it, right?
mm-hmm.
And now I could create a fictitious landing page with my URL and my banking information coming from your company, legitimate. I'll use AI to even create the image, right? And once you purchase it, it goes into me. Oh, sure, I could do
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. The order never gets shipped.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And then you
No.
get in and say, "What is my order?" We're like, "We never got an order." Well, I have a confirmation here. That's not our confirmation. Sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that happened to my sister-in-law once, and it was like a pair of like golden gooses, and she was like, it was like $100 off. It was like $400 she spent. I was like, first off, who spends $400 on shoes? Whatever.
Right.
My opinion on things, um, but then again, I say that, and I'm like buying like all my watches and jewelry and stuff, but then I'm like shoes, whatever. Anyway, everybody's got each to their own. But I was like the website was so sketchy. I'm like, you can't tell that this was obviously so like those are the kind of people that need it.
Yeah.
Is like the elderly, like my grandma was even on stuff, and I was like, you can't just be answering emails like this. But she like bought it on a website. Anyway, scams are out there. We're getting down the rabbit hole here, but I want to get back to the business side of it. I want to talk about education. How are you educating yourself as an entrepreneur now? Do you read a lot of books? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you have mentors?
That's a very good question. I have three. I have three CEOs or entrepreneurs that I've I've actually looked at the way they became successful and learned from them. One of them is Andrew Carnegie. The other one is Colonel Sanders, and the other one is President Lincoln. And what Lincoln, I'm not talking about the politics side, right? But if you look at Andrew Carnegie, for example, a poor Scotsman, the guy had no idea about steel. He had no background on steel and anything like that, and creates the biggest steel company in the world at that time. And you know, Carnegie Steel was juggernaut. When J.P. Morgan was creating U.S. Steel, he needed Carnegie Steel for be the missing piece of that. So I always say if Andrew could do it, and one of the things I mentioned earlier when it came to Carnegie and stuff, that was also part of the mentor situation. Saying, here are these guys, billionaires, saying, listen, when you get this education, you can't let it die with you. You gotta help the next generation follow through. Colonel Sanders is actually brilliant. I don't know if you know the story on Colonel Sanders, John, but he sold fried chicken in the state of Kentucky that every household made fried chicken. Yeah, total different recipe and spices and stuff like that, but he sold it door to door, right? Amazing, amazing to me. And he did this in his 60s, by the way. It was in early 60s or mid 60s when he did this. What makes Colonel Sanders, a lot of people don't give him credit. He was a brilliant businessman. When he sold his recipe for $2 million, he made sure that in that recipe, on that company created KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, that it was his face that they was using, made him immortal right there. And a lot of people don't notice. He became a billionaire not because he had interest in every single franchise or franchisee. He actually made a nickel for every chicken sold. From a nickel, he became a billionaire. And he became a billionaire in his 70s and 80s. So I always say that to me, age doesn't partake in if you have a big dream, if you want to achieve something, you could do it at any age. And Abraham Lincoln, well, listen, I have a poster. You could buy it on Amazon called Perseverance. I have it in my office. It's not in this office, it's in my other office. And he, how many times did he fail? He ran for Congress and lost. He ran for Senate, vice president, Senate again and lost, and then became the president. So there's a couple of ways to look at those. He had a nervous breakdown. His son dies and all that stuff. He failed a lot. Imagine if he would have quit of all those failures. Because one thing about being an entrepreneur, John, failure is a guarantee. The question is, can you get yourself up and do it again, right? Every single day. And one day I looked at it and I said to myself, wow, wait a minute. For every time he failed, he took a step forward. He actually leaped forward. Congress, he went to Senate, vice president. Yeah, he went back to Senate again, but he leaped Senate, vice president, became, I ran for the presidency. So, that basically notion came into my head. When you, even I think Denzel Washington said this best. When you fall forward. At least when you get up, you're 3 steps ahead where you fell from. And that's been on my motto. If you're going to fall, don't fall back, fall forward. So you could get up and you actually move forward and go and stuff. So those are the kind of guys that I look at. And I also look at how, Elon Musk runs his business, what Jeff Bezos did, my goal is the same goal that Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates had. They had the goal of, he wanted Apple to be the consumer brand. That was goals of Jeff Bezos. Right. So Steve Jobs' goal was to Apple be a brand of a consumer, and Bill Gates was that he wanted Microsoft to be on every single desktop and laptop or computer around the world, which it is. And my goal is to CyberOne to be the brand that consumers trust to protect their mobile devices from attacks. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Obviously, being that you see such legends as mentors, you probably have some really good quotes. We love talking about quotes on here. Give us some of your favorite, or just give us some. What's on your mind right now?
I don't. You know what? I don't. The quote that I go by all the time. I have a quote that I go by all the time. It says, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're also self-employed. You're by yourself. And the quote says, if you see me talking to myself, I'm having a staff meeting. I love that quote. I actually love that quote because I don't know. Hey, listen, I'll be the first guy out there that says it. We talk to ourselves a lot. We always, we contradict ourselves.
100%.
We yell at ourselves, right? So that's my favorite quote. If you see me talking, I'm having a staff meeting, just leave me alone. The best quote I said was even that, like, if you're going to fall forward. I think that's the best one that I always go by. And you have to be passionate. You have to have passion in what you do. And anything and everything you have to do is have passion. One kid asked me one time, he goes, beside passion and failure, what else do I need to know to be a successful businessman? He was talking about taking over his father's pizzeria. It was one of my old clients. And I said to him, time management. A lot of people don't realize you have to know how to manage your time, and you have to manage it really well. You have to be productive, very productive, at 200% in the time that you're devoting into your business. So those are it.
Yeah. What are some quotes that you hear a lot that you would say is bad advice, and what would be the alternative?
I can't think one right now. It's not one quote that I think is bad advice.
Or not even a quote, just something bad advice in general.
You know what? It's not an advice. That's actually a good question. I don't think that was an advice, but you know how when you come up with an idea, John, you go to your friends and family, you tell them about the idea, right?
Oh yes, yes.
The people that say it's a great idea, go for it, are not doing you justice, right? But the people that say, hey, John, your idea sucks. Dude, it sucks. It's so bad. Your question should be why. And that person will actually give you the reasons why, how you can make your idea successful. And we'll do it for free of charge. A lot of people don't realize that. They get mad for the person that says your idea is bad. They say, "Oh, you're being negative. You're not supporting me." Oh, no, they're supporting you. I call it the Kennedy effect. When Kennedy wanted to land on the moon, everybody said, "Oh, you can't land on the moon." So basically, Kennedy wrote down why you can't land on the moon, and he wrote it down. And then he brought these experts and said, "Can we do number one?" Yeah. By the time he was done, he check marked everything, and i.e., we landed on the moon. So when I started my insurance embedded and sewer line, which was an endorsement to a homeowner policy, everybody told me, John, I can't get 100% reinsurance. It doesn't exist, Steve. You're not going to do it. You're not going to make it. Don't even start. And I asked them why. And these are people that are in the industry. They're not from outside in it. And they told me, and I wrote it down. And I went back to a couple of days later and I read it. I said, can I do one? Yes. Can I do two? And by the time I was done, I had 100% reinsurance, which doesn't exist, but I had it. So I always believe that the person who says to you is a bad idea, always ask them why. And let them, and just sit there and let them tell you and write it down. Write it down.
I love that. And I mean, if you know anything about, if anybody knows anything about presenting or, coming up with a pitch or something like that, a lot of the advice is write down every complaint that you think that they're going to have before you even go in so
Yep.
that you already have all the,
Yep.
doubts answered, right? What a
Right.
phenomenal way to go about an idea or anything like that. I guess so many people that have these horrible ideas and, they think that, oh, people are going to buy into the idea of what my t-shirt brand stands for.
Right.
And that's just not how it works. And to be able to what a great methodology of I have this idea, let me write down, okay, you don't think it's going to work, tell me exactly why, let me write all this down, and at the end of the list of making the list right, you might kind of come up with a whole different idea, but at least it'll be a better working
Yep.
thing, and I think that is great advice.
Yep. That's how I came up with my cyber sewer embedded product because of my thing. Because I was like, everybody was telling me no, and I was coming out and I'm like, wait a minute, I just came out with a product that I could actually bring into the cyber insurance sector for that to work. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I love that. I love that. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to say? Oh man, tell me some golden business nuggets. I leave it open ended on purpose. I want you
I
to
know.
share your expertise.
That
You
makes it
can take
even
a
fun.
second to think about it. I'll edit out any pause.
Um, my business nugget. I want to like. I want to. You know what, John? I'll say this. I've started many companies, and I think I'm on the right track on this one. And I want this one to be successful. I have the product, and I have the team to make this work. So that's my business nugget. I want to make this work. I want to do it for the team. I have a great team behind me, and we want, like I said, we want to protect the consumers on that side. So, and then eventually, what I like to do is take that knowledge and bring it down to the younger generation. And instead of sitting, like I remember in business school, you sat there and you talked about concept, right? You talked about concept. I had a marketing teacher one time basically said to us, he goes, you want to be successful? Go downtown to the projects. Look at the people, look at that population. Find out how much money you think they have in their pocket as disposable, and ask yourself what you could sell them. If you could come up with it, you're a billionaire. And that was very interesting, right? It kind of opens your
Mm.
mind on how you think about stuff, right? Everybody looks at, oh my God, the projects. But that's opportunity. What opportunity? I don't know what the opportunity is, but figure it out and question yourself. So I always like to do that. I like the question open ended. I don't like to have a closed situation. To me, the like everybody climbs their own Mount Everest, right? The peak constantly changes. The peak doesn't stay the same. It's not the destination. To me personally, it's not the destination that matters. It's the journey toward the destination. And I've learned a lot in 32 years. You know, but I like to pass it along if I can.
Mm. You're talking about, one of your quotes from Denzel Washington, falling forward. Tell me about one of the times that you've failed and how you've gotten back up, or how you turned into a success, or maybe it wasn't a success, but you moved on.
You know what I started back then. When I was at MCI, I decided to open up a company to internet was coming up, create web pages for clients. No, that lost money on that one. That never came out because Yahoo and all these ones already had these templates that you could have done. That one belly up. Um, I had a couple of buddies that used to know how to brew, so we were thinking about becoming a microbrewery. We dabbled on that for a while. Well, then it turns out, yeah, too expensive. You moved on. But every failure I had was actually a success because my appraisal business, although it failed, it wasn't because of me. It was because of the '08 crash, right? Um, my, when I created the cyber insurance on the product on the sewer line, which doesn't exist in the marketplace, it does today. I was basically the first insure tech before insure tech was a thing about 10, 15 years ago. When you have a company like Munich Re, who's a juggernaut in the reinsurance world, calling you up, say, "Hey, Steve, yeah, you're profitable. We're going to come into your market and we're going to price you out. So start looking at other ventures." That's a failure of a buyout that didn't work. But I had Munich Re that gave me the respect for it, right? And then when the embedded cyber insurance product that we did, when we had AIG, Crum and Foster, and Access, who backed us up, we were very profitable. COVID happened, right? So anything that I started, there was an event to something that outside my control that basically dissolved it. And here's the thing: you got to get back up. Yeah, John. I know one thing in life is it's entrepreneurship. I don't know anything else. I really don't. My wife asked me the other day. She goes, "Well, maybe you should go to the corporate America world." I said to my wife, "I don't know anything else. This is all I know. Give me a product. Let me figure out a product. Let me figure out how to bring that product to the market and make it successful as best as I can. That's what I know. And I love what I do. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. I work hard at it and all that stuff. So yeah, those failures weren't failures. It was just, you fall forward and get up and do it again.
I love that. I love that. How can we learn more about you? Give us some plugs.
Only, you know what? We're basically LinkedIn. I like to not, um, I try not to be in the forefront as much as I can because it's not about me. It's not about CyberOne. It's about the consumer. So I try to be in the back end as much as possible. But yeah, you can follow us on LinkedIn, on the CyberOne page, or myself, and all that stuff, and go to our site and do it that way. But you're not going to see anything about any events or we got recognized last year in a world communication. We kind of post that up, but we kind of did let it go a little bit because we were in the Telecom Council as one of the members in the U.S. and we were presenting to the big telecoms and all that stuff. We kind of posted it, but we didn't decide to market it really well. It's because at the end of the day, it's not about me or the team. It's about the product and about the consumer. The goal, whatever you see on our LinkedIn page or any advertising we do, we basically it's in the education side of saying, "Hey guys, it's coming." I just basically today the team kind of posted something on our page that hackers are now actually using PDF and the malware, legitimate PDF that they could put malware in it for you to download. So, for example, let's say I hacked, or you have a virus on your computer, whatever it is, and you're sending a PDF, and that's a legitimate PDF from you to, let's say, to your whoever. I could put a malware on that PDF before you send it, so even your friend sees it as legitimate, downloads it and downloads the malware. So, it's some scary stuff out there.
Wow. Yeah. Mm, that was crazy. Um, Well, Steven, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. This has been the $100 million podcast. Our $100 million guest today, Steven. Super, super grateful. If you guys found value in this content, please subscribe. And if you guys want to share this with anybody who can learn from this content, please share it around. Give us a like, and hope you guys have a good one.